All right, welcome to week 13. My goodness, it is going fast, and we got basically 5 more weeks left. All that stuff. This is a tough, time period, but we're seeing the end, right? This is going to be a tough week, or kind of a long week. Maybe not for you, but definitely for Dr. Town. Dr. Town works with a news organization called News, does all the live stream stuff, or a large majority of that. And I'm what they call the chief technical engineer for that. And so basically on Tuesday night, we have for the past few years had election night coverage. And so this election night coverage, it goes pretty long. And so it's going to be an interesting election this year. And regardless of your personal views on this, this is one of those things that our country, the rest of the world is looking at us. Our country has gone through a lot of unique struggles, a lot of things that, in American history, we'll talk about the history of these presidencies and what they did and the positives, negatives. But the end result is that the American people get to decide who they want to be in leadership. Right, and a lot of it is based on policies. Obviously, right now, a lot of it is based on personalities. And so, one of the things that I love about working with a news organization that I work with is that the election night coverage. There's about 15 of us that actually work within this. Field at least that night, and there are some really dichotomous, like separate viewpoints, and we all work well together because we look at those viewpoints and we base it on discussions. We base it on facts that we see, the way that we see the perceptions of those ideas and those philosophies. And that works well because it helps challenge me, it helps grow me in my thought process as well. So it is something that we'll be discussing this week because I think it's important, but was also something that at the end of the week, you can only control yourself. And we'll talk about that in the end because, the bottom line is I can't control anybody else. I can't control any other outlook. And bottom line, we probably there's a possibility that we won't even have, at least at the federal level, a decision on election night because of all the votes, all the stuff that's being counted afterwards because of election laws and polling places and that kind of stuff. So it's part of that process. And sometimes when we get worked up about that, we make it our own selves having some struggles, mental health, stress and that kind of stuff. So let it go, let it fall. What happens, and we move on. We make our decisions based on those choices. Right? That's a big learning lesson for us. All right, so here we go. Let's go back up to Monday. We got week 13. We're going to be talking about McCarthyism, Eisenhower doctrine, and brinkmanship. This is kind of getting to the brink of war, and then basically going, okay, time out, we're good. And so we've got the lessons with Dr. T. Cold War. Now, again, reminder that last year I did these, and so they might have some references to at the start of this pandemic, but it's still good stuff to talk about. I also gave you a test prep. Now, there's a little caveat to this. I'm going to bring this open for you because this test prep, guess what? You have 180 minutes, but notes are going to be allowed. Yes, that is right. You heard me right. Notes are going to be allowed on this, and there are no short answer, short response. Now, there's an important aspect to this as well, ladies and gentlemen, that, excuse me, there's you need to understand that sometimes using notes is actually tougher because you're trying to find out. Now, I don't want you to just look it up on the internet. I do want you to use the notes, but I will say Control F is your friend. Being able to hit the find feature is an important aspect, and I'm okay with that, especially in your workings on this. But you will have to make inferences. You will have to make ideas of how this concept works over here. Okay, that's what multiple choice strategies do for you. All right, so you're also going to have the Cold War map assignment that I'm opening up now. I'm going to go ahead and click on this because this is kind of a fun one in my opinion. It will take a little bit of time, so what you're going to do is you're going to open this up. And you're going to make sure you put your name in it, make sure you make a copy, put it in the correct folder, all that kind of stuff. All right. So these are the first time you see some of the information there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to actually follow the instructions here. So for example, it says number one, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Poland. One screenshot that has all these countries. So go to Google Maps. All right. If you don't have Google Maps loaded on your iPad, make sure you go to the self-service feature and make sure it's loaded on. Okay, but go to Google Maps. That's Maps, not Google. The well, there's another one. I'll tell that in a second. All right. So, and then just take a screenshot. All right. So zoom in, zoom out as much as you can. Same thing with number two. Same thing with number three. All right. This Marshall Plan. So one screenshot has all the countries. Now, guys, if you can't get all the countries in, I'm okay with that. All right. But the bottom line is when you come to here and you put it in, do yourself a favor and you can put the link. The link might actually work the best to link it from your Google Drive. So put all the images into your Google Drive, right? Now you can upload an image, that's fine, but the problem that you upload an image, it'll do weirdness, you got to resize and all that kind of stuff. And you can also, in Google Drive, you can go to Insert and you can insert from a Google Drive. You can try that. However it works for you, figure it out, make it work. You got this. If we were in class, I'd kind of have a little bit more focus on this, but can't really do that. So again, this is a Google Earth image. All right. So this is Google Maps. This is a little different. So this is Google Maps, and this is Google Earth. So a little bit of a different scenario. Again, you can either get to that Google Earth in your URL, or you can use the app. Okay. Then you've got the NATO, and then you're just going through here. All right. So just follow the directions. Look at the links. There's a couple of them. They're talking about Germany here. So you got the Berlin Wall, and there's a memorial. Right. So there's a the URL link. So you'll need to select English at the top to view it. Some of the history of it, and some of the things we're going to talk about. There's a multiple choice, obviously, right here. Just there's put in your letter here, and that's last but not least. You'll type it in and put true and false. Now the answers to the bottom are up here at the top. All right, so very, very easy, very quick. Well, it'll take you some time, but I'll give you some time in class to do some of these things. All right, so that is on Monday. Now on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the idea of the space race post World War II economic boom. You have a very quick quiz on this, but then you also have an optional. I'm not going to force you to do this, but I would highly recommend that you look at the election as opposed and think about the Electoral College. Now, because we're going to be in class on Tuesday, we are going to discuss this just briefly to talk about how the Electoral College works, and I've given you a couple of interesting websites, videos that you can watch and look at, and then a pro-con website. Should it be abolished? Should we have just a popular vote? So we'll be talking about that, and I want to hear your views on it as well. Now on Wednesday, you have your test. All right, so that's it. That's all you have. But obviously, you'll have the opportunity to take the test and do your map assignment, and that will be in Zoom. You also had the opportunity to share your project topic, something you learned about inventions during World War II or the Cold War era. I'd love to hear some of those as well. All right, so Thursday, you've got the start of our Unit 5, right? So we start with Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is a very, very favorite passion of mine, simply because my dad was in Vietnam, and he was a 173rd Airborne Ranger. Yes, he was that dude. He did some crazy stuff, jumped out of planes, jumped out of helicopters. You didn't mess with my dad. And one of the reasons why I joined, even though it was later on in my life, I have a lot of respect for my dad. But he definitely had to go through some pretty tough stuff. It was a very tough environment in the 60s, right? 50s, 60s, and 70s, very tough. And so we'll be talking about that and hitting it fairly quick, much quicker than I'd like to, but just is what it is. Now I did make some Vietnam war document or it's videos, and so you can watch those, but they are optional for you to do that. And of course, on Friday you have your week 13 blog as well. So guys, it's going to be an interesting week, and we'll have some unique discussions to talk about, especially on Wednesday. And is one of the things that you just have to learn, that hey, this is what we got going. All right. So bottom line, it is one of those things that we'll do our best with, but you can only control you. All right. You can only control your actions. You can only control your responses, your behaviors, and you can't control somebody else. So you be you. You make sure that you are good. All right. And so I will see you later on. Have a good one.